For the replay watchers, we'll get started here in a minute. How you doing, Ellie? Thanks for joining me again. As the title says, Interstate 70 was a war zone. Only took a few hours to get around it, but that last one couldn't get around it, got stuck behind it anyway. Multiple accidents, shut down different sections of the interstate. It was ridiculous. But nobody was doing a live stream. Rosalie Green did one. I missed it because I was busy talking on the CB radio to all the drivers, wondering, okay, how are we going to get around this one, guys? Now, one of them said we take 40 into Richmond. I said, that's not a good idea. You don't want to take a rig like this into Richmond, Indiana. The roads are tight enough as it is, but with traffic on it, makes it even worse for us. I said, that's not a good idea. I did stop at the Petro next to my house, but I couldn't stay. I just got a coffee and got a sandwich. I have to deliver this part of the load early in the morning tomorrow in Cleveland, and then the majority of the load's going down to Millersburg, Ohio, and that's in the middle of nowhere. I got to take a lot of country roads to get there. That part of Ohio is mostly populated by Amish and Switzerland immigrants from Switzerland. And they're proud of it too. You see the Swiss flags everywhere in that area. Anyway, they're very interesting. They've got their own furniture making places there in some of these towns. They make all the furniture by hand, make cheese. You know, basically they're self-sufficient where they are in there in Ohio. But where I delivered last night, I ended up getting a load out of the same place, so I just bobtailed to the truck stop down the street, got the load, and took off. And that's when all the messes happened. I should be on the far side of Columbus by now, had it not been for all those accidents. Anyway, we ain't gonna just talk about that. We can talk about my last live stream. That was probably one of the best ones I ever did by myself. Funny as hell. Ugh. Coffee gasses me up some prayers. But it's good. How you doing, Kyle? I'm assuming that's Kyle Klepper. I don't know what any other live streams that other folks would be attending right now, but I know nobody's doing one right now. And I'm sub to a lot of people. And nobody was doing a stream. So I said, what the hell, I'll do one. It's Thursday evening. Nothing else better to do than sit here and talk to myself, which I'm already doing that anyway. But no, that last live stream made me miss the miss the old times when I was a kid. Lots of laughs. What's my plans today? I got 192 miles. Uh, I believe I can park there and just wait till 6 in the morning to get unloaded, and then hopefully they can give it to me right away. And I still have drive time where I can get to Millersburg. Millersburg is 73 miles away, but it's a lot of zigzagging out in the middle of nowhere in eastern Ohio. And the location where I'm at, I'm assuming my next load is going to come out of Wooster, Ohio, Easy Farm. Now, most of the time when I get that load out of Wooster, it typically goes down to Georgia or Florida. Well, honestly, I should have did that live stream way back when I was behind all those accidents. They were awful. I know there was a couple fatalities. Looking at the damage, see that green sign? It said Urbana. That's where the movie Little Giants was filmed. The actor that played Al Bundy was in that, and Rick Moranis. So the exit to my right there, you'd head towards Xenia, and then the next exit would take you towards Urbana. But their football team there, the high school in Urbana, I believe, is called the Ravens, like the Baltimore Ravens of the NFL. No, I haven't seen it. And they didn't call it Mad Max. They called it after that female that was in Fury Road. I think it was a pre-sequel to how she became who she became. I want to see that, and I want to see the new Twister movie. That came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it is about the Mad Max story, but it focused on that girl that drove the war rig. Ellie, you live in New South Wales. That's where they traditionally filmed all the Mad Max movies. Did they film that one there or no? Because I know the first two were filmed in Broken Hill. Oh, so they did film it there. Okay. Max Rokatinsky. I have to admit, Tom Hardy did a good job playing the role. He had me convinced. But it's a shame they didn't have Mel Gibson, do a cameo in that Fury Road. That would have been cool. The guy that played the leader of that one group, with the weird looking mask on and the long white hair, he was in the very first Mad Max movie. He was the leader of the biker gang. Well, he ended up becoming the leader because the Knight Rider was killed. He was known as Toe Cutter. Yeah, he played in that next movie. He was hardly recognizable as the Toe Cutter, but he was the Toe Cutter in the first Mad Max movie. And his second in command was Bubba Zanetti. I like the guy, the Toe Cutter in that movie. He was talking to Johnny, the boy, the new kid, I guess, kept screwing up. And he goes, "It's okay," and he was comforting him, but he took the double barrel shotgun and stuffed it in his mouth, and he goes, "Just remember to keep your sweet mouth shut." It was hilarious. How you doing, Steve? Thanks for coming. I appreciate everybody who comes in. I really do. It's just there's nothing to do, man. There's nobody else doing a live stream that I can join in on. And then again, if I'm only in the chat, I have to use voice to text, and it doesn't work out very well. That's why all the hosts go, what the heck is he talking about? I just don't know what's wrong with Disney. I've been waiting for a second season of Obi-Wan to come out. I've been waiting for the next season of Mandalorian to come out. And Boba Fett was great. The Book of Boba Fett. I wish they would do a second season of it. And they got Andorian. That Acolyte TV show that they created, that's pretty good. The twin women that are force sensitive. Yeah, and it's good. They did an update, Steve. It was all right. I mean, there was mistakes here and there, but when they did that update, it got worse. I mean, it started typing things that I'm like, I didn't say that. Like I used it on Blessed Life ones. I'm glad I didn't hit send. I almost did. It said what I was wanting to say, and then the latter half of the sentence made no sense at all. And I'm like, where the hell did the AI get that from? It said, would you like to sleep together? And I'm thinking, what the hell? I said, I'm glad I didn't hit send on that one. I never seen any of the Avatar movies. Typically, I only will watch a movie that I know is good, that is possibly like a sequel of something that I already know, like Mad Max. I'll never forget when they came out with Fury Road. The night they came out with that, I was in Holton, Maine, and they had a theater, and I was bobtail. And I asked the guys at the truck stop, "What do you think I could bobtail to that theater?" They're like, "Oh yeah, they got a big parking lot in the back." They said, "I wouldn't take a trailer with you." I said, "No, I'm bobtail." They're like, "Yeah, you can make it." I drove there, and it was opening night, and there was nobody there. Nobody. There were two theaters in this old theater, and there was literally nobody there to see either movie in one of the theaters. There was the girl that sold me the ticket, and then she moved over, and sold me a popcorn and a drink. And when I was sitting in there when the movie started, she came in there and sat beside me and was talking to me about it. And I said, "Have you ever seen any?" Because she was young. I was like, "Have you seen the other movies that came out years ago before you were born?" She said, "No." She goes, "I'm interested. This movie's kind of cool." I said, "Well, if you like this movie, you're definitely going to like the other three." Yeah, I have to say, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome was really good. Bringing in Tina Turner as Auntie, good movie. Usually sequels aren't as good as the first, but the Road Warrior and then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, those were great. Because what makes me remember Beyond Thunderdome so much was the humor, which a lot of people wouldn't find humorous, but a lot of us did. There was that one guy in Beyond Thunderdome that had like this stick mounted to his back, and it had one of those old Japanese masks with the hair on it behind, up above behind his head. That character was hilarious. And then there was Master Blaster. There was that giant guy with the midget on his back riding around on him. He was a, you know, he was like could probably teach at a university engineering because of his knowledge of electricity and everything and engineering. Oh, they did a re-showing of Lost Boys from the '80s. Yeah, but see, look, that the Mad Max Fury Road was brand new, and it was coming out that night. And I was trying to get to a place where I could go and see it. Now, I managed to do it, but it's like nobody's interested in coming to see Mad Max Fury Road. I'm like, where are all the Mad Max fans? I mean, shoot, man, that was big in the '80s. Look at this. It was so big that WCW Wrestling made a tag team called the Road Warriors, and they stole the idea from that movie. The spiked shoulder pads and the painted face, Hawk and Animal. That's funny you mentioned that, Steve. You remember in the movie Lost Boys when they were at the fair and they were on the beach, and there was that saxophone player named Tim Capello. He actually played saxophone for Tina Turner for years, and he was really big in the '80s because he played a lot of music. And in the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the the weird looking Japanese guy that was playing the saxophone for Auntie, that was actually Tim Capello playing the musical part, but didn't. That wasn't the guy that was sitting there playing, acting like he was playing the saxophone. That was Tim Capello actually playing the sax. That was her saxophone player, same one that was in the Lost Boys, and did that song "I Still Believe." And because of that scene, every teenage boy fell in love with Jamie Gertz. Oh, The Nutty Professor? That was a good movie. The best part was when they were all at the kitchen table. What was funny about that was there were two scenes of them having dinner at the table. The first one was just nothing but Eddie Murphy playing all the characters except for the little boy. So technically, there was only two actual people at that table. Now, the second dinner scene was with a woman, Miss Purdy. I'm thinking about going down and get my colon cleansed thoroughly. You want your colon cleansed? Fine, I'm going to clean mine. I'm just squeaky clean. Ends up, sharting himself. Oh man, oh damn it, I missed my pants. the brilliant part that Eddie played was the old woman, Mama, at the end of the table from Cletus. Goes, not over here, Cletus, tonight. I'll kick your ass. When she's constantly farting, she grabs the butter knife and she goes, I'll toss this between the cracks of your ass. Oh, the girl that played Miss Purdy, I can't remember her real name, but yeah, she was a very beautiful lady. I could be wrong, but I think at that time when they were filming that, Will Smith was dating her, if memory serves me correctly. But he played that part really well. I would like to ask Eddie Murphy if he modeled those characters he created like that. Did he model them after people he really knows that are like that? I would really like to know. Ghostbusters, I never saw the new ones at all. Only the original ones. How you doing, Aaron? I got the link above. It's the first thing I posted when I had created it. If you can see it in the chat, you may have to scroll up. But man, you look at some of that food on the table. I mean, it looks good, okay? But the way they were stacking their plates like that, and Eddie Murphy's sitting there acting like the old man, and he's talking. He grabs that gravy dish and just spills a lot of gravy over the mashed potatoes and greens. It's like no wonder why everybody's got diabetes. I am at mile marker 69, heading eastbound. I haven't reached Columbus yet, but I'll be taking 71 towards Cleveland, 172 miles away. Can't deliver until 6 in the morning, though. What I'm hoping is to get there at a good time, and while I wait and get unloaded, I get a reset so I can go to the 90 and deliver the rest of the load an hour, about 2 hours away in Millersburg. You're on I-70, but where? Are you in Ohio? I'm at Yardstick 70 now. Yeah, I got to hand it to The Simpsons, man. That is the longest continuous TV show in history. Oh, you're in Maryland? Oh, you're a long ways away. But The Simpsons, that came out when I was in high school, and it's still going. I mean, a lot of those actors did other things, but they've been making a steady paycheck doing the voiceovers for the characters. And some of them do multiple voices. Yeah, the guy that does Mo, the bartender at Moe's, he does that voice, and he also does Al Poo, the Indian owner of the convenience store. Yeah, it's pretty clear here. Oh, come on, don't tell me there's another backup. I gotta say, man, there's a lot of trucks out, more than usual. Not so many cars though. But look, I want to tell everybody. Oh, okay. I have to turn it up. There's probably nothing going on though, Ellie. Um, you guys can prepare all you want, and whatever you can do, like in non-perishable goods or whatever. But I'm telling you, 3 days ago, our stock market came real close to crashing, and it still hasn't recovered. It's gone down even more. I don't know what it did today, but believe me, when this next crash happens, and it's going to happen, it's going to be a doozy, and it's going to hurt everybody worldwide. Because people are starting to see which way the wind's blowing, and they want their money back for the bonds that they invested in our country. And that's what's been going on. There's been massive sell offs. I'm to blame for that, but at a low level, though. Not enough to really be noticed. Somebody owns millions of shares and sells them all off. That's going to be noticeable. But the ones I really warned about this long ago, 4 years ago, during when the lockdowns happened, I was warning them guys that were on pensions that moved to the Philippines or moved abroad. I'm like, look, it's good that you got a pension, but then the next crash, you better hope that it doesn't affect your pension, because a lot of pension funds are tied to the stock market, and it crashes, you're not going to see a check for a while, if ever again. Because in 2008, a lot of people like Enron, they all lost their pensions. They all had to go back to work. And there were some people in their 70s and 80s that had to go back to work because they lost their pensions. They still were collecting their Social Security, but you can't live off that. And that's when the Walmart greeters were created, and they're all people that look like they belong in a nursing home. People 70 and 80 years old should not have to work. Who's to blame? Ellie. Nobody is to blame. It's just the way the economic system is. The history is full of this. Capitalism, which all y'all live in with me, the economic system we live in, was created in the late 17th century England. And every 4 to 7 years, it has a downturn. Some are minimal, some hit hard, but some cut really deep. And this next one is going to be a doozy. Because Wednesday last week, the United States just passed the $35 trillion debt mark. That's a debt that's unsustainable. My only complaint about that is we're supposed to be a democracy, but I had no hand in the decision making of taking on that kind of debt. I didn't get to vote on it. It was all decided for me. So that ought to tell you how much democracy we really do have. And I never saw a nickel of that money. But yet we're all going to, here, my fellow Americans, we're all going to have to pay for that. It's not going to fall on the rich that got it. Let me see what's going on here. Nope, hadn't started yet. Well, come on up here, sweetheart. You're moving all over the place. You're driving flatbed. Keep it steady. Do not invade my lane, please. It's a lot of pipe. But I'm just, people came here and they left when I started talking about it. Well, if you watch the replay, I'm going to tell you this. You can run from it all you want and pretend that it's not there. But the scary thing is not going away. But the mass of American people are not to blame for it. No. The ones who made those decisions are to blame. And I blame every one of them that occupied a seat in one time or another for the past 45 years in D.C. They're all to blame. All of them. I don't care what political party they're in. Let's put it this way. We have the United States here. We have the best democracy money can buy. That last election in 2020 cost $14.4 billion. That's what both candidates paid into the ads campaign. So they got ads on TV and signs everywhere. Ridiculous. And if you can't get anybody to donate to your campaign so you can buy advertisement, then your chances of running is, stymied from the get-go. They made it a money fest. If you don't have any money, you're not even going to be added to the ballots. They're probably not even going to know about you. Yep, that's why my CD made that noise. Here comes a state trooper right there. It was picking up his radar detector. Well, I agree with that, but no, everything is for profit. That's all we've been doing is privatizing everything since 2000. And now it's come to a head. 24 years of this crap where they've been privatizing everything, shipping the jobs overseas or automating them. And then it's coming to a head where these people are making things, but they can't sell what they're creating because nobody's making the money to do it. They're not profiting. I mean, yeah, there's people that are buying it who can afford whatever it is that they're selling, but the mass of Americans can't buy what they're trying to sell. That's why a lot of car dealerships have gone out of business. They're empty lots. There's a lot of big car dealerships that are empty, and you look at them now, they've been out of business so long, nobody that lived in the area would have ever known that there was a big car dealership there because everything's gone. They leveled it. They moved all the cars out. Now what they do is they file bankruptcy and then they take all those cars and they move them to other dealerships that that person owned. Now say it was just the sole owner of that dealership. He probably took all of his cars that he had on the lot and put them up for auction. And you're going to get pennies on the dollar if you're lucky at an auction. But these famous pickup trucks that a lot of guys like buying. I remember back in the '90s, I could buy a pickup truck for less than 30 grand. But that same pickup truck today, 80. Everything's skyrocketed in price, but the average American worker's pay has been remaining stagnant since 1978. People have been priced out. People can't afford a lot of things. But the people in the rest of the world aren't being told that. They think that we're living, wealthy lifestyles. We did at one time, middle class. Mom stayed home, take care of the kids. Dad worked and was enough to take care of the entire family plus. You can't possibly do that anymore. And you look at our TV programming, that explains it right there. In 1980, we went, with the people that were paying attention, noticed a cultural shift in the United States. You would see TV shows that showed the American lifestyle. There was mom who stayed at home, took care of the kids in the house, and dad worked a factory job or something like that or another, made a good living to support a family. And it's typically 2 to 3 kids. And you saw programs like Leave It to Beaver and The Brady Bunch was the last wholesome TV show about the family unit. Then rolls around 1980. And a little bit late after 1980, we were introduced to family programming that was where the family unit was dysfunctional. And The Simpsons is what started it, per se. The husband and wife can't stand each other. The kids are mouthing off, and they want to know what happened. Well, what happened was that there was a cultural shift. What happened is the men who was on a stagnant wage from 1978 up beyond, it started to catch up to them in the late 80s that their pay wasn't going up. What your money can buy you has been remained stagnant. So people borrowed. That's when the credit cards were widely used by people. Basically, pre 1980, credit cards were only used by businessmen. And it was called the American Express card. But instead of raising people's wages like it did for 150 years in this country, they stopped raising them. So what they did was they, instead of raising their wages, they lent them money through a credit card. And and people didn't realize that the drubbing that they were going to be getting. Well, they borrowed to keep up with the American dream. It was just papered over by, unlimited credit. And that's when 2008 happened. It came to a head because the time will come where you don't have enough wealth to service the debt. And we haven't recovered since 2008. But we have an economic system where every 4 to 7 years there's an economic downturn. That would tell you that our economic system is unstable. Like my professor would say, it's so unstable that if you lived with somebody as unstable as capitalism, you would have moved out long ago. And the longer we continue with this, the worse things are going to get for everybody. Unless you're rich. I'm talking about filthy rich. You're going to have to be a multi-millionaire or above. The only way that's going to happen for you if you've managed to win the lottery or you invented something revolutionary that everybody can use. Jesus Christ. They really need to fix this interstate here in Ohio. This is awful. Ah. But the only way to make it better for everybody, the massive population, is to change the economic system. We got to say, okay, just like all the other economic systems in human history are born, evolved over time, and die. Capitalism's no exception. Now, the people who love it and celebrated it their whole life never fully understood it. If you want economic growth and capitalism, you're going to have to move to China, Brazil, or India. Because that's where capitalism moved its center. And even that's coming to a head now, too. Yeah, they're making all this crap and bringing it back over to this country. But the problem is they're becoming overstocked because a lot of people can't afford it anymore. A lot of people can't afford that crap that they're making overseas and bringing it back here. That's what you call self-importing. Self-importing. And that's what destroys your economy. There's another lane. Use it. Thank you. I'm coming into Columbus, Ohio. This is the far west side of Columbus. Because those yellow green signs up there, The two lanes to my right, that'll take you on 270, which is the bypass that goes around the city. But I'm going right through it. I'm just going to go for a few more minutes, see if anybody else shows up for the hell of it. Tried to hold on to everybody, tried to make it entertaining, I can make it funny. Just somebody needs to give me a topic to talk about. Oh, wait a minute. I do have to get on that. Okay, I'll take 270 and go around. Go around on the north side, then hop on 71. I'm glad I was paying attention because, yeah, there is a lot of road construction going through the city. But one good thing about Columbus, Ohio, was they had a big sci-fi convention every year in March. It was called MarCon. People would come from all over the country to come to that convention. You name it, it was there. Basically, a lot of people who were into cosplay showed up. You could be dressed as just about anything. But the majority of them were Star Trek and Star Wars fans. MarCon is what started it. And, there's a pageant and a heavy competition. These girls heavily compete who looks the best in the metal bikini from Return of the Jedi that Carrie Fisher wore. Some of these girls are just knockouts wearing them. And it's like, because I went to MarCon a few times, and I'd be asking these girls, how'd you become a Star Wars fan? And I'd listen to them. And then I would tell them, look, when I was a kid, you had to be in the closet about being a Star Wars fan. Because if you didn't, you destroyed yourself socially. And typically, if you were a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan, the girls wouldn't pay attention to you. And that's what you call ridicule. Just because you're a fan of sci-fi. Now look at us today. Every female in the world has a cell phone, which was created by a Star Trek fan as the flip phone. And then it's morphed into the iPhones. And in the late 80s, when Star Trek The Next Generation came out, that was when the initial iPad was thought of. But in Star Trek, they were called a data pad. And we're talking 87, 88. That's revolutionary. You figure when they came out with those movies, Revenge of the Nerds 1, 2, 3, and 4, that the ridicule of the nerd would have ceased. Not entirely. But those were good movies if you can watch them. Revenge of the Nerds 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think the last one was Booger's Wedding. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Booger, why is that buttocks pressed against the glass like a fresh Devonshire ham? That was Ogre. Did you see my buns? But one good thing that the Nerds movie did do, it made sororities and fraternities popular, where when people went to college, that was one of the first things they did was join a fraternity or a sorority. For girls, it's a sorority. For the guys, it's a fraternity. I never joined one. I think one of the reasons why I didn't join this one fraternity is because it's popular up there in the Ivy League. You have to run a marathon totally bare ass naked with a number painted on your back and on the front of you. Literally, you got hundreds of freshman students trying to get a sorority or into a fraternity, and they have to do that as their initiation. And I'm like, I'd rather pass because I'm really shy. Yeah, each fraternity or sorority had their initiation. And I'm like, man, I got initiated in military school. I got to go through this crap again. And that was bad enough. When I was in military school, entering the high school level of it, that's your initiation because you're a freshman. Well, Howe's Military Academy was all boys, no girls. That's different now. They got girls in there now. I found out recently. I'm like, when did they start allowing girls in there? And I'm like, that's a hoot. But there was the girls' academy right next door. I mean, but it was far away. We're talking maybe 100 yards was their dormitories, and they'd be looking out the windows, and they could see our balcony where we were at. And the initiation was this: you had nothing on but your boxer shorts and your dress hat. For your dress uniform, you wore the hat, and you had to stand up on the concrete balcony ledge, which you did not want to fall off. You'd probably die. But we were standing up there, and we had to do the truffle shuffle. But the commanding cadet, the CO of the cadets, was a legacy. Was a friend of mine. Well, a friend of my brother's, because they were older, and we all grew up together. And he kind of favored me. I had to shine his buckles and his shoes and everything, paying my dues. But he made sure that he took care of me. Nobody really messed with me. But when we all got done, we had to do that in front of the girls looking out the window because they huddle every year for us to do that. And what it did is we have a ball where we invite the girls. They're dressed in these ball gowns, and we're in our dress blues. We do a dance. We have a dinner with them and everything. It happened every year. But to break the ice with them, they'd send the freshmen up there to do the truffle shuffle in their boxer shorts just to show that, hey, it's okay. And that was our initiation. Well, as I was trying to walk off the balcony, like everybody else, off the ledge, because they made these stairs that we can walk up the little couple of steps and you're up on the ledge of the balcony. As I was coming down, Steve grabbed my boxers and yanked them down. And I heard the laughter of the girls, and they were clapping. And I did hear one girl yell out, "That's a nice ass." That was embarrassing. Because you have to turn and wave to him. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. But when I turned and waved to him, he yanked my boxer shorts down to my ankles. And the first thing I did was cover up my nuts. But girls can be just as bad as the guys, I'll tell you that. That girl said, "Ooh, that's a nice ass." Because I even looked at Steve. I said, "Did you actually hear that?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I wonder which one of them said it." But I loved military school when I was there. It was great. It was fun. I mean, yeah, there was heavy discipline, yeah. but there was a camaraderie. You were friends with just about everybody, and one night we'd hang out in everybody else's room until they said lights out, and then we'd hang out in somebody else's room because there were four to each room. There's two bunks, and there were four of us in each room in the dorms. But basically, that's what you did. You studied, you shined your uniform, ironed it, took care of your uniform, whatever you had to do. But once you did all that, you had nothing else to do. You'd hang out with other people. And sometimes we'd play Dungeons and Dragons. Aha! That didn't make sense at all. I should not be losing signal when Columbus, downtown Columbus, is just right over there, a couple miles away. You think the United States, we'd have state of the art technology, but we don't. We're behind. Seven miles, I'll be getting on 71. Ow. Anyway, I think I'm going to end it here. Not much else to talk about or to laugh about. Well, there's the Columbus Zoo, Zumbi Bay. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, and I appreciate y'all that came. Hopefully, I gave you a little bit of entertainment. Hopefully, somebody else is going to be doing a live stream soon. But I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you. Bye bye.